There's a secret the world rarely speaks, but the soul always knows. The highest value in life is emotional stability. Not the noise of constant happiness, not the chase for highs or perfect outcomes, but a deep, unwavering calm. A stillness that doesn't flinch when storms come, a softness that doesn't crumble when things fall apart. Welcome, dear listener, to Inner Moonlight. Here we speak gently but truly. If this message speaks to something buried inside you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe, not to follow us, but to stay close to the voice within you. What is emotional stability? It is not smiling all the time. It is not pretending to be unshaken. It is not forcing yourself to stay positive. No, emotional stability is the unshakable ability to remain open without being destroyed, to allow life to touch you without losing yourself in its waves, to say, whatever comes, I will meet it, and whatever leaves, I will release it. This is not weakness, this is wisdom, and like all wisdom, it is earned through experience, through heartbreak, through quiet endurance. To be emotionally stable is to fear nothing that hasn't yet happened, and to regret nothing that already has. That is the essence of peace. It means we face the unknown without trembling. We face the past without flinching. We stop rehearsing disasters in our minds. We stop punishing ourselves for mistakes already made. When fear loosens its grip on the future, and regret releases its hold on the past. What remains is presence, the ability to be here, fully, softly, soberly, with what is. This is not passive, this is powerful, because most suffering is not caused by life itself, but by our resistance to it. We want things to be different. We want people to stay. We want the past to undo itself. We want the future to obey our plan, and so we suffer. But the stable heart says, let life unfold, let me meet it, not fight it. There is an old saying, if the boat keeps sailing, the bridge will appear. If the road keeps climbing, the mountain will open. That is the posture of peace, not control, but cooperation with what is, to face whatever comes with presence, to solve what can be solved, and to let go when it cannot. If it can be solved, act. If it cannot, release. Either way, worry is wasted motion, and regret is emotional poison dressed as loyalty. We think that by holding on to guilt, we are being accountable, but true accountability is change, not punishment. To be emotionally stable is to say, I made that choice. I will not carry shame. I will carry wisdom. No more blaming fate. No more blaming others. No more blaming ourselves. Just awareness. And then movement. Because the truth is, emotions often rule our lives more than we know. We think we are thinking, but we are reacting. We think we are choosing, but we are avoiding. We think we are strong, but we are controlled by fear and hope. Stability breaks this trance. It brings us back to what is real and what is ours to hold. The world will never stay still. People will disappoint. Plans will unravel. Joy will visit. Loss will return. Change is the only constant. So why cling? Why resist? Why try to anchor ourselves to what will never remain? The emotionally stable soul doesn't cling. It breathes. It accepts. It flows. It surrenders without defeat. It adapts without bitterness. It loves without demand. Because emotional maturity is not about what you feel, but what you do with what you feel. You can feel fear and still act with courage. You can feel sadness and still offer grace. You can feel anger and still choose kindness. That is emotional strength, not the absence of feeling, but the presence of choice within the storm. This wisdom is not found in books alone. It is born in stillness, in heartbreak, in the moments when you sit quietly with your pain and ask, "What is this teaching me?" And slowly you begin to see. The fear was never about the future. The regret was never about the past. It was about your relationship with yourself, your ability to be with whatever arises. And from that inner clarity, a kind of joy returns, not ecstatic, but settled, not loud, but real. The joy of not needing life to be perfect, to feel peace. So breathe, dear one. You don't need to fight. You don't need to force. You don't need to fix everything to feel okay. Let it be, let it flow, let it teach. And if you fall, rise softly. If you tremble, still walk. If you don't know what's next, just stay present with what is. Because emotional stability is not something you achieve. It is something you return to, again and again, like a monk to his breath, like a river to the sea. Some things come to us like a gift wrapped in pain. Others leave us like a thief in the night. No warning, no farewell. And yet, both the arrival and the departure are part of the same dance, the same Dharma. In truth, much of our suffering arises not from what comes or goes, but from the way we cling to one and resist the other. We want permanence in an impermanent world. We want stability from things that were never meant to stay. We want joy to last and endings to delay. But the lotus blooms, and then it fades. The tide arrives, and then it recedes. This is the rhythm of life and the rhythm of release. To be emotionally free is to allow what comes to come and what goes to go. Not passively, not without feeling, but without attachment as identity. The Buddha taught, whatever has the nature to arise also has the nature to cease. This is not a threat, it is a liberation. When we learn to say, let it come, and then let it leave, we begin to taste a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. This is the heart of Wu Wei, non-resistance. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means flowing with what is, instead of fighting it. Think of the river. It doesn't grab at the rocks. It doesn't mourn the leaves that pass. It flows, not because it doesn't feel, but because it understands. Movement is the nature of existence, and when we forget this, we suffer. We try to hold love that wants to change. We replay conversations that can't be undone. We stay in places we've outgrown and chase dreams that are no longer meant for us. But life is not a cage, it is a current. It carries you where you need to go, sometimes gently, sometimes roughly, but always purposefully. So what if, instead of resisting, we allowed? What if we stopped demanding life to fit our expectations and instead let life show us what it wants to be? To accept what comes is to stop filtering everything through fear. To release what must go is to stop judging yourself for what you couldn't hold. There is grace in the unscripted. There is wisdom in the unraveling. We don't have to understand everything to be at peace. We only have to trust that everything belongs, even the things we didn't choose. When something enters your life, ask, what is this here to show me? When something leaves, ask, what part of me is being made lighter? Not all loss is punishment. Some losses are cleansings. Some endings are not rejections, they are redirections. And sometimes letting go is the most profound expression of love. Love for the other and love for your own unfolding. Because when we cling to what is trying to leave, we close the door to what is trying to arrive. When we mourn the leaf, we miss the blossom. So how do we practice this acceptance? It begins with breath. Inhale what is, exhale what was. Do it slowly, not just in the lungs, but in the soul. Then remind yourself, if it is meant for you, it will stay. If it is not, it will teach you something as it leaves. Acceptance is not giving up. It is waking up to the truth that life is wiser than our plans. You don't have to like what happens, but you don't have to fear it either. You are strong enough to meet what comes. You are soft enough to release what leaves. This is how peace grows, not by locking life in a box, but by opening your hands and saying, I trust this flow even when I don't understand it. Because here's the secret, nothing truly leaves you. Every love, every lesson, every moment you lived fully, they imprint the soul, they shape the being. They become part of the quiet strength you carry forward. So let what must end, end. Let what must begin, begin. And in between, be present, not panicked. Because the present moment, exactly as it is always enough. It is your anchor in the river, your breath inside the storm, your peace, even as everything changes. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's not about excusing someone else's ignorance, violence, or neglect. No, forgiveness, real forgiveness, is about choosing peace over poison. Because when we carry blame, when we replay regrets like old songs in the mind, we become prisoners in a story we can no longer change. There is an old Zen saying, to hold anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else, but you are the one who gets burned. In truth, most of the time, we are not angry at others. We are angry that we trusted, angry that we hoped, angry that we didn't see it coming. But under that anger is pain, and under that pain is longing. Forgiveness is not a denial of justice. It is the release of self-harm. When we do not forgive, we harden. When we do not forgive, we lose the capacity to feel life deeply. But forgiveness is not weakness, it is wisdom, because blame anchors us to the past, and regret is a chain made of what-ifs. Both take us away from this sacred now. So we practice, we breathe, we say, yes, it happened, yes, it hurt, but no, I will not carry this weight any longer. That is how we begin. And then comes the second half of the burden, regret. Regret is a soft torment. It creeps in quietly, often disguised as reflection, but real reflection leads to growth. Regret, when excessive, leads to paralysis. We say to ourselves, if only I had done it differently, if only I had spoken up, if only I hadn't trusted them, if only I had waited, or moved sooner, or said no, or said yes. But all those if-onlys are illusions, because at the moment of decision, you did the best you could with the awareness, wounds, and hopes you carried. You chose not from foolishness, but from your level of consciousness, and that is always changing. So how can we blame our old self when that self had not yet met the truths we now know? The Buddha said, you yourself must strive. The Buddhas only point the way. So we walk, we stumble, we learn, and in time we bless the path, not because it was perfect, but because it led us here. To regret is to argue with the past that cannot respond. To forgive yourself is to tell the past, "Thank you for the lesson. I choose to move on now." But what if the hurt runs deep? What if the betrayal still whispers at night? What if the memory still burns? Then we must turn inward, not to erase the pain, but to meet it gently. Sit with your regret, not to suffer it, but to understand it. Ask, what part of me was trying to protect me? What fear was I trying to escape? What love was I trying to earn? What truth was I not yet ready to hear? You will find that most of your so-called mistakes were simply steps in your becoming. You cannot walk the path without leaving footprints. You cannot reach wisdom without sometimes passing through fire. So be kind to your past self, to your decisions, to your blind spots. They too were doing their best. This is how the awakened walk forward, not with shame, not with vengeance, but with compassion for who they were and reverence for who they are becoming. There is no timeline for healing, no map for forgiveness, no formula for letting go. But there is a feeling. It is the soft loosening of the heart. It is the quiet sigh that says, "I am tired of carrying this." It is the tear that falls not from sadness, but from the sudden release of an old chain. When that moment comes, honor it. Don't rush it. Don't analyze it. Just breathe into it and let it bless you. Because in the end, forgiveness is not about them. It is not even about what happened. It is about you, reclaiming your soul, reclaiming your power, reclaiming your right to peace. And as for regret, let it be the compost from which wisdom grows. Let it nourish your next decision, but never dictate your worth. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than your memories. You are more than your shame. You are the silence between thoughts. You are the breath between battles. You are the soft light that rises again and again, even after the dark. We live in a world that pulls us in every direction. The moment we rise, we are flooded with information, expectations, comparisons, and noise. In this storm, emotional stability becomes not just a virtue, but a survival skill, a path to peace that begins not outside, but within. Buddhism teaches, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. But what if the mind is caught in chaos? What if emotions rise like waves, each one threatening to knock us off balance? Then we do not resist the waves. We learn to surf. In this section, we share 4 simple sacred practices, not to eliminate emotion, but to honor it without being ruled by it. These are not theories, they are tools, and like any tool, they must be practiced with patience and humility. Let us begin. 1. The 60-second breath. Return to the now when your heart races, when your thoughts spiral, when anger or fear grips you like a fist. Pause and breathe. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Repeat. 1 full minute. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But the truth is, you cannot panic and breathe slowly at the same time. The breath anchors the body, and the body anchors the mind. And once anchored, even a storm can pass gently. This is not avoidance. This is returning to the present moment, the only moment where healing lives. 2. Imagine the worst, then make peace with it. This may sound counterintuitive, but when anxiety clings to your chest, try this. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And then breathe it in. Welcome it. Look at it, not as a threat, but as a guest. If it comes, will I survive it? If it stays, will I learn from it? If it leaves, will I be lighter? The Buddha often spoke of non-attachment, not as apathy, but as radical acceptance. By imagining the worst and making peace with it, you loosen fear's grip. You say, if this comes, I will face it. If it breaks me, I will rebuild. If it stays, I will grow around it like trees grow around stones. This is not pessimism. This is courage dressed in clarity. 3. Move your body, expand your world. Stillness is sacred, but stagnation is suffering. When your emotions feel like a prison, step outside. Even just a walk around the block. Even just standing barefoot in the grass. Even just watching the sky change colors. The mind locked in a room sees walls. The mind out in nature sees space. Movement doesn't erase your feelings. It transforms them. Emotion is energy in motion. Let it move through you, not rot within you. And remember, a problem that felt unbearable in your room often feels smaller beneath the open sky. 4. Nourish the mind, choose better company. Your environment isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, spiritual. What you read, who you speak with, what voices you allow into your ears. If you surround yourself with negativity, with fear, gossip, judgment, your mind will begin to echo that frequency. But when you read wisdom, listen to truth, and keep company with those who lift you, your mind becomes lighter, your heart steadier, your path clearer. The Buddha said, "An insincere and evil friend is more to be feared than a wild beast." So choose companions who remind you of peace and become that peace for others. Even if you walk alone for a while, let it be a walk toward truth, not toward noise. Together, these 4 practices are like 4 limbs of emotional balance: a breath to return, a thought to challenge, a movement to shift, a circle to support. You won't master them overnight. You're not supposed to. They are not disciplines. They are devotions, daily returns to yourself, daily returns to peace. When practiced gently and consistently, these tools do more than soothe your emotions. They reveal your power beneath them. The storm may still come, but you will no longer be the one swept away. You will be the stillness at the center of the wind. You will be the mountain beneath the changing clouds. There comes a point in every journey, whether emotional, spiritual, or physical, when we must stop striving and start surrendering. Not because we've given up, but because we've grown wise enough to see that not everything can be controlled, and not everything should be. The rain does not ask for permission to fall. The flower does not beg to bloom. The river does not resist the mountain it must flow around. In nature, there is no forcing, only unfolding, and perhaps that is the deepest form of wisdom, to allow life to unfold without adding unnecessary suffering. Surrender is not defeat, it is release. Many fear surrender because they mistake it for weakness. They think, if I surrender, I lose. But in truth, what we surrender is only what was never ours to carry. We surrender the illusion of control, the need to always be right, the story that suffering defines us, the fantasy that peace comes from the outside, and in return we gain the clarity of acceptance, the calm of non-resistance, the power of presence, the beauty of alignment. In Buddhism, there's a word, upekkha, equanimity. It means inner balance in the face of joy or sorrow. And the path to equanimity always passes through surrender. Let go of the past. It cannot follow you here. What's done is done. Regret is a heavy chain, a link to a moment that cannot be changed. If you made mistakes, let them teach. If you were hurt, let it scar, not infect. If you've loved and lost, bless it and bow. Every yesterday has given you something, even if it was just a warning, a lesson, a reminder to soften. The lotus blooms not in clean water, but in muddy ponds. Likewise, your soul grows best not when life is easy, but when the mud forces you to rise. Let yesterday go. It has already done its part. It is not your prison. It was your path. Release the illusion of tomorrow. Just breathe now. You cannot predict the future. You cannot bargain with it. You cannot outrun it. So what do? We breathe. We bless the unknown. We prepare our hearts, not our plans. To live fully is not to secure the future. It is to meet each moment as it arrives with presence, with grace, with spaciousness. Breathe, dear one. There is no fire but the one in your mind. Put it out with your gentleness. Tomorrow is not promised, but this breath is. And if you stay with it, you are already home. The quiet gift at the end of letting go, when we surrender, not from fear but from clarity, something sacred begins to awaken, a stillness that doesn't depend on silence, a freedom that doesn't depend on escape, a happiness that doesn't depend on anything at all. You begin to realize no one has power over your peace unless you grant it. No outcome can define your worth. No failure can erase your essence. No chaos can drown your awareness. You are no longer a leaf in the storm. You are the sky beneath it. This is the quiet gift of surrender. You remember who you are. So now, beloved traveler, we close our journey where all true wisdom ends, not in struggle, but in stillness, not in knowing everything, but in letting go of needing to. When the body goes silent, the soul begins to whisper, and in that whisper is your path, your peace, your truth. Let us walk gently from this moment with a heart that is steady, a mind that is kind, and a soul that trusts the unfolding of all things. Until next time, stay soft, stay awake, and stay free. This is Inner Moonlight. If this journey touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe. May peace walk with you always.